everybody. Hi, Beth here from Access Paranormal. I'm hoping that this particular session will be a little bit better. I just tried before and the internet gods were not smiling at me whatsoever. No, I'm still waiting for broadband. Don't even get me started on the whole NBN thing. So hopefully you guys can see and understand me, and I'm not looking as pixelated, although pixelation is kind of like the whole vignette of the 50s. So maybe there's like the Vaseline lens going on from a computer age type stuff. Oh, this looks better. I can see peeps popping up. Hi guys. Hi Damo. Hi Robert. Hope you guys are well. So the difference, paranormal tourism and the paranormal investigating, there is a difference. I know for some it's probably bleedingly obvious, but it's good to kind of delve into the differences with them as well, and also how they can actually cross over a little bit too, and a little bit about the do's and don'ts as well, that kind of stuff. It's good to see you guys. So I'll get stuck into it. Paranormal tourism, pretty much as it says. There's another term that's called dark tourism, which is kind of like more of your murder mystery type stuff, but paranormal tourism is your ghost tours and your ghost hunts. And the reason I say that though is there is a difference between that. So ghost tours are a lot more history, and personal experiences. Ghost hunts are more of your investigating equipment used. Not a lot still compared to what would be known as a paranormal investigation, but there is actually a little bit of it used, and again, people's personal experiences regarding the paranormal. So that's generally what the difference is between the two of those, and it's good to know the difference for that too. And of course with the paranormal investigation, it's definitely a lot more equipment based, a lot more about trying things out, a lot more about asking and trying to speak to what's perceivably the other side. So that's the general gist of it as well. Hi Jay. Hey J Train, how you going, matey? So the difference, so that's the main parts of it too. But also, once when I said in the beginning that sometimes investigators may cross into one to the other. So sometimes investigators may actually want to go and attend a paranormal investigation or a ghost tour or a ghost hunt of some sort, and that could be really cool. I think it's great. I highly recommend it. But there's a couple of things to keep in mind if you do want to do that, because particularly if you're going to a location that you've actually investigated before as well, because it can kind of feel a bit weird going somewhere where another tour company and or group can actually run tours from, particularly if you've been there a fair bit. But as again, it's and there's lots of pluses with that too. Hi Kat, sweetie, you made it. Very good, very good. So a couple of things to remember when it comes to investigators actually looking at going to a public event, which is say paranormal tourism, ghost hunt, ghost tour, maybe a public paranormal investigation. The first thing to remember is that the investigation itself may not necessarily feel the same. I know that seems a bit weird to say, but you may be going to a location you've been in before with your team. When you go with another group of people, please be aware that it's actually not going to be run the same way. So the tour company or the paranormal group that does have this tour that you're going to, it's going to be run differently. It's going to feel differently. It's the equipment's going to be slightly used in different ways. The rooms are going to be used different ways. Just be wary of that. Just be open to that kind of stuff. And it's okay as well. Hi Chris, how are you? Great little meme there. So just be wary, it is going to be different. Don't be shocked by it. And I know it's sometimes hard because you've been, I know I've been in times where I've been with groups of people and they're like, oh, can't believe they went into that room. Nothing happens in that room for us. Oh my God. Why did they use that ghost box there? Like that it does happen. It does happen. Leave it be. Just let it go. This is the tour group's event, and you're there to respect it. You've parted with dollars to get there and stuff like that, and have the access as well. So keep that in mind. Also, people who run tours also have a very different set of rules as opposed to what it'd been like if you may have held a private event there too. So people who have a sort of a tour, that their rules are a lot more strict with the owners of that particular location. That's going to be a big thing too. And also the fact that most of the time, if not all the time, people running the tours, it's for the public. They haven't met these people before, so you've got to be even more careful. It's not like with your team where you can kind of just go in and settle in and you all know each other and you've all got a plan happening and things like that. So keep in mind, tour groups are going to have very different laws and rules to abide by when they're running events at public locations, as opposed to just being your own private paranormal investigation. Also, another big thing I think probably should start to happen for myself. I'm more open to it now than I have been in the past, and of course you'll probably understand this as well. Is supporting the businesses that run it. Now I know within the field there can be a bit of disgruntledness with groups that and paranormal tour groups that have access to these locations, particularly if they're exclusive and they haven't always been exclusive before, that it can feel like a bit of a thorn in the side with that. I think it's important to at least be supportive of those teams and groups, because at the end of the day, it's the business that is making money. That's what it's about. This location's going, and that's what the best thing about the paranormal events is that places, that wouldn't normally be open to the public can be, have minimal staff, so it's minimal overhead, but yet at the same time be able to have another revenue stream, and that's how they see it. So they're going to look at utilizing tour group people and companies to be able to generate revenue in a time, instead of the occasional group going through on their own. And it's easier to have one team and or group run it, have one group run it and manage it for them, because then that's one thing they have less to worry about. So it's money, it's about managing it and making income. And I think, yeah, sometimes it can feel annoying that you don't have that exclusivity to be able to go in and do what you want. Totally understand that 100%. But in particular here in Australia, it's very rare that you're going to find locations that are open to other different groups going there. They are there, but they're extremely rare. So I think at the same time, it's more of an advantage to actually go and support these teams and or groups that run it, because the more people that go through those doors, the more chance that venue is actually going to keep its doors open for paranormal tours and ghost tours and things like that. And you can go along yourself. Yeah, you're going to be going along under someone else's rules, but at least you've got access to that location. Hey Cara, good to see you. Oh yay, Mel made it. She's not with her husband tonight. So there's that too. Also, a couple of things to remember, kind of like things to keep in mind. So if you're an investigator and you're wanting to go out on a ghost hunt tour with another team and or group, with paranormal tourism, as I'm terming it for tonight, one thing is, don't talk over the tour guides when they're doing their thing. It can be really hard, and there's times I've had to bite my tongue because I want to say, oh, but in this area, someone's felt this and someone's had that experience, and blah blah blah. Just pull back, because there will be opportunities you will have to actually go and have your say, usually in group settings when you go off on your own. But when these guys have got a tight deadline, they've got to get people to certain locations for certain things. There's information that people are there that need to hear what's happening and going on. So just keep that in mind, that there is a lot of more of a stricter schedule when you've got paid public people there at this location. So I know I've had to keep that in mind, because I get all excited when it's anything to do with the paranormal. Brilliant. So there's that one thing too. Also, if you've got people that that are coming along with you that are quite, I guess I could say, negative about the paranormal. I mean, you can have a negative experience or a negative thought, or think it's all a big bag of crap. That's fine. That's totally fine. But if people do think that way, it's probably best to pull that back a bit. And that's not not to be truthful to yourself, but more the fact that other people there are for different reasons, and to respect that. I think it's really, really important. So you can have your opinion, absolutely, but just keep it on the down low, if that's the case, and allow people to have their own experience. Allow them to come up to their own conclusion instead of tainting it with negativity. I know there will be people who sit there and go, well, you're tainting it with positivity by saying it's haunted, but they're there for a reason. Let them make up their own minds. Don't try and sort of like paint crap all over it. It's not pretty. Crap is not pretty. So that's one thing. Also, don't party before you go to a tour. I know that sounds really weird coming from me, but people get very lucid and quite sort of cowboy, although there's nothing really wrong with cowboys, but bad cowboys, don't allow, it kind of disrupts the group dynamics. So, turning up while you're under the influence of alcohol and drugs is a big ass no. Jared says, respect the people running it and respect the location. Take in the experience and enjoy yourself. That's exactly it. And it's hard because we become so passionate about the experiences we have in certain locations and how things happen and what happens. But remember, if you're on a tour, it's for the general public as well. It's not for us specialized peeps who are really into it. So we're going to have our own opinions and thoughts on how it's being run, but also respect and appreciate and support the teams and groups that are running these particular ones. Kat says, I've been both a tour guide and an investigator, and I absolutely agree. Fabulous, wonderful. I'm onto a good thing. So also another thing, as we already know, most of us, but there are some people that may not. When you go on a tour, it's not like TV. It's not. You're not going to have a Zach Bagans 40 minutes with a wham bam banky man. It's probably not going to be anything near that. The paranormal doesn't just turn up whenever it does. If it was, then I probably wouldn't be doing this. It's spontaneous phenomena. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. But unfortunately, there will be people sometimes that do go to a tour, not necessarily always paranormal investigators, but there will be some people that will turn up to a tour and expect a ghost to turn up and then get annoyed when that doesn't happen. It's spontaneous phenomena. We don't know. There have been tours I've paid for as well where nothing's happened at all from a paranormal perspective. If you are with a really good team and or group, they will be educating you through the whole process. You won't almost even really notice the fact that nothing has actually happened if that's the case. Really good people will be able to do that. But it does happen, and sometimes energy is just going to do what it's going to do. We don't know what happens on the other side. So, you can't just command an energy from the other side if that's the case and go, hey, Ralph, just pop on in for a minute, mate. We've got a group coming through at 7. So that would be brilliant, but it doesn't work like that. Time's probably not even linear on the other side. We have no idea. So keep that in mind. Most people do, but also if you've got friends that come along, just let them know that it isn't, people aren't being dragged, people aren't being stabbed and scratched and pushed over and possessed every 5 seconds. It would be great, but it doesn't always happen, and for them to also be okay and expecting that, even if they have paid for a ticket as well. Also, with those kinds of wonderful people, sometimes they will get that disappointed, they leave a bad review. That's probably not something as well. Again, it's spontaneous phenomena. It ain't going to turn up when it wants. You can't leave a bad review for the afterlife. Go, listen, Spirit of John did not turn up. Do you mind? Hence, send, and it goes to the ether. So it'd be great if that was the case. It doesn't work like that yet. We haven't figured it out. Hi Vicky, hi Charmaine. Good to see you guys. So also another thing to keep in mind is that will be different people there. So you are going to get people who are going to be I'm just here for a jovial fun time, and they'll be like, oh John, woo woo, ha ha, like this. And if you're the serious type, you'll be sitting there going, I just can't believe I've got another 2 hours with this idiot. Be as easy as you can on people who are very different to your thoughts on the paranormal. Generally, most of us being quite serious to a degree or passionate about it are going to look upon those who aren't so much differently. I'm being very diplomatic here. So keep in mind, those kinds of people will be going to these types of events because they want to go and have a good scare and a good fun and want to scare their mates and then go out to the pub afterwards. Brilliant, great, wonderful. But for us serious folk, it could be like sand in the underwear. So it really irritating and very uncomfortable. And you've got to put up with it for a couple of hours. So just keep in mind, those kinds of peeps will be there, but just lay low on it and let them have their fun. And also at the same time, most of the time, if you've got a really good tour group and or people, they will be the ones that will help control those kinds of environments as well. Oh, wonderful, cool. So there's some great comments coming out. I had those idiots' thoughts a couple of times. I know, Mel, we all have. But you know what? That's the general public. It's common sense ain't so common. But anyway, so there's that too. And also something to keep in mind as well is that with these groups, they've got to be able to cover their costs, and doing so they'll have to have a maximum number. Sometimes that maximum number may be too many people in your mind for that particular group. Keep in mind they are covering costs. In Australia, it is actually quite expensive to run tours. It may not seem that way, but there is so much that goes into insurance. The insurance is through the roof. The fees are incredible because it is at a time that it's closed, which is great, but also the downside to that is it is more expensive. So, it very, very rarely is anyone out there really making any money, if at all, here in Australia. Is definitely more to cover costs. And here in Oz, it's, you can be paying up to $120, $150 for an investigation, which is a lot of money. In America, that's probably around the $110, $120 US. In UK, we're talking probably about 80, 90 quid, roughly. So it's a lot of money, but at the same time, there is a lot of justification for having to charge that. And that, again, is covering costs. It's covering insurance stuff, and it's actually covering staff as well. Often can be covering staff. So keep that in mind too. Have fun, but don't be yep, that's exactly it, Jared. That's exactly it. When you go to these locations and these events, keep in mind that it is for entertainment. It's not for serious investigating, and you're going to get all walks of life walking through, and to be patient about that as well. So there's a couple of really cool tips there for you guys. Hopefully you'll take that on board. Most of it you'll probably know, knowing if you're following Access Paranormal and on this page and on this YouTube channel as well, you'll more than likely be very level-headed individuals. But it's interesting and good to talk about it as well, because it is, you know, we should go out there and support people who do run tours, and not just, you know, ghost hunts and ghost tours and paranormal investigations. Really just get out there and help them, because at the end of the day, the more people that do go through these locations, you know, the better the chance that they'll be open to the paranormal for much longer, for everyone else to be able to explore as well. So although it may feel like a pain that we haven't always got exclusivity to have our own locations to go whenever we feel like it and not have to pay, sometimes we're just going to have to. So there's another way to approach it. Let's support these guys and get behind them as well. So do take care, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's I Want to Know. Have a fabulous evening.